I didn't want to die, and at the same time I didn't see much chance of living. My body was slowly freezing, and I could barely feel anything. By the grace of God, I came across a lifeboat, and the people on board pulled me in. That moment saved my life. Even after more than 100 years, the Titanic tragedy continues to speak through the photographs it left behind. These pictures didn't just show luxury and daily routines aboard the ship, but also small human moments that now feel priceless. Each image holds a story, a clue, or a secret that has fascinated generations. With the help of advanced AI restoration, the blur of time has been lifted. Faces that were once lost in shadows are now clear. Words written long ago can be read again, and tiny details once invisible now reveal parts of the story no one had noticed. Some of these restored images even challenge what we thought we knew about the Titanic's final hours. One photograph in particular left experts stunned. When magnified with new technology, it revealed something completely unexpected, something that had been hiding in plain sight for over a century. From the massive iceberg believed to have doomed the ship to small and personal objects showing how people lived aboard the Titanic, these are not just pictures. They are pieces of truth that bring the past to life in powerful ways. Take, for example, the infamous iceberg. Just 2 days before the disaster, Captain W. Wood of the SS Etonian captured a black and white photograph of a giant iceberg while crossing the Atlantic. He carefully marked its location, which turned out to be only miles from the very spot where the Titanic struck an iceberg on April 14, 1912. When experts later applied AI analysis to the old photo, its shape and markings matched almost perfectly with the sketches drawn by survivors who had seen the iceberg that night. This gave strong evidence that the iceberg in Wood's photograph was indeed the one that doomed the Titanic. After arriving in New York, Wood developed the photograph and signed his name to it, fully convinced it was the very iceberg responsible. Forensic studies since then have only confirmed how accurate his record really was. Today, that single photograph remains one of the most haunting and important relics of the Titanic disaster. But the iceberg wasn't the only shocking discovery. Even the life-saving equipment that was supposed to protect passengers turned out to be far less reliable than anyone had hoped. The Titanic carried more than 2,000 cork and canvas life vests, technically enough for everyone on board. Pictures of them show thick cork pads sewn into rough canvas, held together by thin fabric ties. They looked sturdy, but appearances were deceiving, as later evidence revealed. Survivors later recalled that when people wearing the life vests jumped into the freezing ocean, the vests sometimes did more harm than good. Their unexpected buoyancy occasionally forced people's heads back violently, breaking necks or knocking them unconscious. Even so, some passengers managed to stay afloat long enough to be rescued, though many still died from exposure to the bitterly cold water. A handful of those original cork and canvas life jackets still exist today. Their canvas is stained with seawater, and their edges are frayed with age. One of them even sold at auction for an astonishing $119,000, serving as a painful reminder of the human cost of the disaster. Among the most haunting photographs is one of a young boy playing on Titanic's deck. In April 1912, 6-year-old first-class passenger Robert Douglas Spedden was captured in a snapshot as he spun a toy top on the wooden deck of the ship. The picture was taken only days before tragedy struck. When restored with modern AI technology, incredible details emerge. The fine pattern of Robert's coat, the shine of the deck beneath his small feet, and the bright gleam of the ship's railings catching the sunlight. On the night of the sinking, Robert was fast asleep, unaware of the chaos unfolding. He only woke briefly when his nurse gently told him they were going outside to look at the stars. He was placed in a lifeboat and survived that night, but his story ended tragically just 3 years later when he became one of the first recorded automobile accident victims in the state of Maine. Titanic's gymnasium was another marvel of luxury. Located near the grand staircase on the boat deck, it was an attraction unlike any other at sea during that time. The gym featured exercise machines such as rowing equipment, bicycles, and even an electric camel. Access was reserved for first-class passengers, who could rent the facilities for a small fee of 1 shilling per session, guided by the ship's instructor, T.W.W. Macaulay. Enhanced photographs now reveal the tiny details inside. The scratched wooden floors worn from use, smudges left behind on the tall mirrors, and oak-paneled walls that glowed warmly in the light. It was a lively and energetic place in the ship's final days. Sadly, Macaulay remained at his post with dedication until the evening of April 14th, and he perished when the ship went down. Another photograph, taken by Reverend F.M. Brown before he left the ship in Ireland, shows Titanic's lifeboats resting neatly in their positions beside the bridge. In total, the ship carried just 20 lifeboats, enough for only about half of the people on board, though this still exceeded the outdated maritime laws of the time. AI analysis later revealed that if Titanic had carried even twice as many lifeboats, nearly every life could have been saved. On the night of the disaster, however, many of the lifeboats were launched only half full. Officers feared that overloading might jam the lowering mechanisms, preventing them from reaching the water. Adding to the tragedy, a planned lifeboat drill earlier that very day had been cancelled, a decision that proved costly when the emergency came. There are also photographs showing Titanic's massive hull during construction at Harland and Wolff shipyard. More than 3 million rivets were used to hold the steel plates together. Later investigations suggested that a coal fire burning deep inside one of the ship's bunkers before the voyage may have weakened parts of the hull. This theory, building on research by journalist Senan Malani, proposes that the fire compromised the metal in ways that made Titanic more vulnerable when it struck the iceberg. AI heat imaging of one of Titanic's construction photos has revealed faint evidence of heat damage in a section of the hull. If this detail is real, it may mean that a coal bunker fire weakened the steel before Titanic even left port. Such damage could have made the ship far more vulnerable when it struck the iceberg, allowing water to flood in at a much faster rate than anyone expected. While this theory is still debated, it adds a chilling possibility that Titanic's fate may have been sealed before her maiden voyage even began. On May 31, 1911, more than 100,000 people gathered to watch Titanic's massive hull slide into the River Lagan during her launch. Photographs from that day, restored with modern AI technology, now reveal astonishing details. Faces of onlookers in the crowd can be studied closely, and some have even been identified by comparing them to later photos taken in Queenstown. Curiously, one man was spotted in the images who has no known connection to the ship as a passenger or crew member. The launch itself was a breathtaking moment, with 22 tons of soap and tallow used to help the ship glide smoothly into the river during her 62-second descent. The crowds erupted with excitement, unaware of the tragedy that lay less than a year ahead. Titanic's second-class dining room, located on D deck, could seat nearly 400 passengers at long, sturdy mahogany tables that were bolted to the floor. Restored images reveal details such as rich red upholstery and delicate carvings in the wooden paneling. One curious detail even shows what looks like the date April 10th, scratched into the wood, possibly by a passenger who later survived the sinking. Meals here were prepared in the same galley that served first-class diners, and passengers enjoyed their food accompanied by live music. For its time, this was considered one of the finest second-class accommodations ever offered at sea. The first-class reading and writing room was designed as a quiet sanctuary, mainly for women. It was beautifully decorated with silk-upholstered chairs, Georgian-inspired furnishings, and large windows that filled the space with light. Enhanced photos reveal something eerie. A faint, ghostly outline of a seated figure by a window, an individual who was never officially identified. The room was meant for reading borrowed books or writing letters home, but accounts suggest it was not used very often. The appearance of this mysterious figure in the photograph makes the room even more haunting. The first-class smoking room was very different, reserved for gentlemen only. It was paneled in rich mahogany, decorated with stained glass windows, and featured a grand fireplace crowned with Norman Wilkinson's famous painting, Approach to the New World. AI color restoration now recreates the warm amber glow described by survivors. On Titanic's final evening, men gathered here to play cards, smoke, and talk late into the night. Among them were Major Archibald Butt and artist Francis Millett. Some fled when the disaster struck, but others stayed behind, accepting their fate. For a few final hours, this room remained a place of normality aboard a dying ship. Construction photos of Titanic also capture the enormous effort required to build her. More than 3 million rivets were hammered into place by workers, many of them without proper safety equipment. Enhanced images reveal tiny cracks and flaws in some of the rivets, a detail later confirmed in wreckage recovered from the ocean floor. Historians believe that weaker rivets in Titanic's forward compartments may have caused the steel plates to break apart more easily when the iceberg struck. Whether this theory is true or not, the photos remind us of the immense, and sometimes dangerous labor that went into building a ship once thought to be unsinkable. An informal photograph shows Captain Edward J. Smith inspecting the decks shortly before Titanic's final voyage. AI restoration has revealed 2 crew members in the background who were later identified through family genealogy, giving their descendants an unexpected connection to history. Smith was well known for conducting daily inspections and leading Sunday church services for passengers. Yet one of his most puzzling decisions was to cancel the lifeboat drill scheduled for the morning of April 14th, a choice that would later prove disastrous. Another touching photograph shows children happily playing a game of tag on Titanic's decks. It captures a brief moment of pure joy before tragedy struck. AI enhancement reveals the faint white Star Line logo on a ball the children were playing with, suggesting it might have been a small gift for passengers. While first-class children had more space and freedom to play, kids across all classes shared moments of innocence and fun during the voyage. Sadly, for many, this journey of excitement and discovery would never be completed. The Titanic's grand staircase, one of the most iconic spaces on the ship, remains lost to time, as no original photographs of it have ever been found. Historians and AI technology have instead reconstructed its appearance using photos of her nearly identical sister ship, Olympic, combined with survivor accounts and computer models. These reconstructions give us a vivid sense of the magnificent oak carvings, glass dome ceiling, and sweeping elegance that once greeted first-class passengers. It was the very heart of Titanic's luxury and is remembered today as a symbol of her tragic beauty. The reconstructions of Titanic's grand staircase reveal sweeping oak banisters, ornate wrought iron railings, and the massive domed skylight that filled the stairwell with sunlight during the day. This breathtaking space, reserved only for first-class passengers, stood as the very centerpiece of Titanic's grandeur. Today, thanks to modern AI recreations, people can virtually step inside this legendary room, experiencing in vivid detail the elegance and atmosphere once thought lost forever. One photograph of Titanic's crew, gathered together for a muster, seems ordinary at first glance. But with AI magnification, a small, chilling detail emerges. One man can be seen clutching a folded piece of paper, its creases still visible between his fingers. Historians suggest it could have been an unrecorded ice warning, perhaps one of several that failed to receive proper attention. Crew drills were supposed to prepare everyone for emergencies, ensuring each man knew his role. But Titanic's maiden voyage was filled with lapses in safety measures, and this single image, what seems like a simple group photo, now carries an unsettling weight. The Marconi room, tucked deep within Titanic, housed the ship's wireless telegraph system, operated by Jack Phillips and Harold Bride. AI restoration of one surviving photo shows a logbook lying open on the table. Though faint and almost erased by time, the words "Ice Report, April 14th" are visible. This tiny cabin became the lifeline of communication on Titanic's final night. Phillips and Bride worked tirelessly, sending out urgent distress signals to nearby ships and coastal stations as the vessel took on water. Their dedication saved hundreds of lives, even as their own chances of survival grew smaller with each passing minute. The photo of this room reminds us that, in the midst of disaster, acts of duty and courage helped shape the outcome of one of history's most infamous tragedies. An early morning photograph taken from Titanic's boat deck captures the vast and calm beauty of the North Atlantic. With AI colorization, the horizon glows softly in shades of pink and gold, perfectly matching survivor accounts of the sunrise on the morning after the ship went down. For passengers at the time, Such a view would have simply been part of the daily experience of ocean travel, a moment of fresh air and quiet reflection at sea. Yet looking back now, that same tranquil scene feels almost haunting, standing in sharp contrast to the devastation and chaos that unfolded on those very decks only days later. Another remarkable image shows Titanic's bustling kitchens, where chefs stand proudly surrounded by gleaming copper pots and large cooking stoves. Enhanced details reveal tiled walls and even a menu card resting on a shelf, which lists the dishes served on April 14, 1912, the ship's final day. The kitchen staff prepared meals for more than 2,200 people, from the most elaborate multi-course banquets enjoyed by first-class passengers to the simpler hearty fare served to those traveling in third class. These photographs, now restored with modern technology, allow us to peek inside the heart of Titanic's operations, where so many worked tirelessly to provide service for travelers of every background. The first-class cabins, meanwhile, embodied luxury at sea. Lavishly paneled with fine woods, furnished with ornate pieces, and decorated with plush bedding, these staterooms were designed for comfort and elegance. Some photographs even capture intimate details of their occupants: an open jewel box resting on a dresser, a half-written letter crumpled on a writing desk, frozen moments of daily life aboard the most opulent ship in the world. Many of these passengers were members of the wealthy elite, traveling with expensive attire, heirloom jewelry, and even personal servants. The surviving photos, enhanced by AI, offer a rare and almost personal glimpse into the lifestyle of Titanic's richest travelers, preserving the memory of a world of luxury that vanished beneath the waves.